Hey, what's going on, guys? Phil here. Welcome to some Mechwarrior Online news. We've got the public test server in operation, and for those that don't know, if you use the portal for MWO, there's a PTS option. PTS is just that. It's a separate client where we haven't used it for like 5 years, so if you haven't installed it, don't worry. I just updated mine, but there's a window from May 11th through the 13th where you can hop on here and you can basically test out all the new goodies. They're doing 4v4 on the new map, Emerald Vale. And on top of that, it's solo, so you don't have to worry about that. But mainly what we're going to do is we're going to be checking out the skill tree. I chose the Timberwolf just because I'm so familiar with it. I know everything about it. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at the skill tree. And now this is, there's some UI that popped up there. You can see here, there's some ones that aren't connected here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit respec here just to get them out. I'm going to hit apply here. Roger that. All right. So these are my first thoughts. This is the first time live that I'm doing it on my stream, which, by the way, I do stream Monday through Friday, 12 to 6 p.m. Eastern. I'll have a link down below. Pop on over if you haven't done so already. Join us on Discord, all the fun things. Anyways, this is the new skill tree. Now, my initial reactions upon seeing this are, holy crap, it's actually bigger as far as the horizontal axis goes, right? It's a bigger tree. Now, what's nice about this is I know I want full cooldown on this. So I'm just going to pop down here to full cooldown, click once. That takes 16 clicks down to 1. Super nice. Not as concerned about range. I want heat gen. I want to go and grab that. Cool, we got those. I want laser duration for DPS. Okay. I'm going to come back to skeletal and armor and stuff. We're going to keep moving here down the road here. You got all the speed tweak. Oh, that's so nice. So nice to be able to do that. And again, just one click wonder here. We got some verticality with jump jets. Now this is where I'm going to go to operations. I want cool run and I want heat containment. And I'm not as concerned with the other values here. Again, hill climb, not interested in that. Let's get to ECM. I need all my ECM nodes. I'm going to go grab that. I'm not concerned with radar depth when I have ECM, generally speaking. And let me see a consumable slot here. So right off the bat, I've got 52 nodes out of 91 that I would typically, wow, that's a big change. Obviously now I would go over back to armor hardening. Let's go pick up that. Let's go to structure. I want to go a little bit faster here. So I'm going to go, I think, speed tweak on this. Maybe. Yeah, let's go speed tweak here. We're going to have to individually select these, which is fine by me. And because range is already good on clan weapons. Now, the nice thing with having range controlled is sometimes you don't care about range. Like if you're a close range brawler or let's say you're doing a sniper role for, you know, clan laser vomit or something like that. Then yeah, you may want to pick up ER large lasers, you know, something like that. But those aren't my go-to. Baseline, it's already good. Don't need reinforced casing here. Shock absorption. Now, I do like hard break. I've got 84 out of 91, and I do like anchor turn, being able to stop as well. Those are things that I feel like are actually really good for poke builds. Obviously, I'd have to trade here, trade off, but I've got operations. I don't need anything jump jets. Quick ignition, don't really care about that. Gyro, don't really care about that. Speed retention, don't really care about that. Hill climb, I feel like some of these need to just be rolled back in. They don't even need to be a thing. Target decay would be really nice. Again, being able to just boom right there. Capture assist, that's super nice. Enhanced narc is super nice. So with the changes that I'm seeing right now, I go from 91 nodes down to, if I remove the kinetic burst and I remove the armor, well, armor hardening I would do, but I definitely probably didn't have all of the armor hardening. But I mean, even if I did, I'm down to 72. That's such a substantial savings. And look, I'm using it right now. Very intuitive. It's easy. I like the I don't know if I'd use red, but that's nice. Maybe when the UI color, it's very intuitive. Again, boom, how easy is that? It's not hard. And we're back up to 91. So this mech is actually going to be better. Now, it's going to be worse in some ways. It's not all just one-sided. I'm going to lose range. But on some mechs, you don't really care. I'm going to lose some agility, right? Because I'm no longer taking, I'm no longer taking, anchor or torso speed because I'm not picking up those nodes. So overall, the mech will be better, but in some cases, I'm going to, maybe it's a little bit more sluggish here or there just because I don't have those things. Maybe I'm not walking up hills as easy as I was because I'm not picking up those nodes. But just my first initial impressions, first use case scenario is it feels good. So again, I'm going to go ahead and hit apply here. And boom, there you go. And I'm sure we could compare stats here before and after. Now, is this a good thing or is this a bad thing that this made this setup? How I look at it is now what they can do is they can go up or down, right? Like I've talked about radar deprivation is super, super powerful. I think radar deprivation needs to be lowered globally, and then on certain mechs. Like if you bump this down by 10% each node, where you couldn't get 100%, but you could get 50%. And then on some mechs, they have quirk. Now, before you go, what are you talking about, Phil? Don't touch my stuff. You'd also have to reduce target decay, target retention, and stuff like that. So again, we've talked a lot about the relationship between radar deprivation and missiles and swoosh and all that. So, but how I look at this is that this allows them to basically buff or nerf certain nodes, because we all know that if we have a choice, and this is what's difficult with this system, is if you have a choice to go cool run and do more DPS, or run hotter so you're more sustainable, right, with operations, like you're gonna do that, right? So what you have to do is then you have to compensate. You either bring some of those down or buff some of the other ones. Like why, and again, it's a thin line. So my initial thoughts here are, I like this system. It's a little bit bigger though. I think that's a negative. I think this is, it's still a lot of overload to a player, but I think it's a good starting position. And then they can start buffing stuff, because like if you're a player and you're a new player and you're coming in here, there's no guides to this, right? Okay, well, why did I pick this? Okay, let's break down why. Okay, so I have a Timberwolf setup, dual large pulse, 6 ER mediums. It has ECM, and it has 1 jump jet. Okay, so what is the purpose of this? This is a mid to long range, 6 to 800, maybe even 900 with the large pulse, a little bit further. But my sweet spot is in that 600 to 700 meter range, right? That's where I want to be. That's what I want to be alpha. And because I have no ballistic weapons or no missile, I'm not going to bother with that. So what I want to do is I want to increase my DPS, which is cooldown, and laser duration. Keep in mind, this actually has bigger value. For instance, if you had to choose between 4 cooldown or 4 laser duration, go with the laser duration over the 4 cooldown. It gives you better value here, right? Laser duration being shorter, which means your cooldown then kicks in effect. So for a laser vomit setup, especially in this case, how many double heat sinks I have, I want to maximize the heat output. So I want full heat gen here, right? Heat and max heat and heat dissipation. So those are going to be the first things you're going to want to do. Heat containment and cool run. You want to knock those out. Okay, so I'm also rocking ECM. I want to maximize my ECM, so I'm going to do both ECM nodes. You're also going to pick up sensor here. And again, you still see some that are trade-offs. And then after that, that's really up to you. I did skeletal density and armor hardening, but and this is where in this case the tree can start offering, like, would you ever pick reinforced casing? This is reduced chance of critical hits. I think right now the answer is no. Why would you ever choose that when I can just up armor and there's better value nodes? And this has been always the crux of the problem, the skill tree, which is there's just better nodes. But before, in the current system that's on live, you picked up these nodes that you didn't use. And you could see I had 20 plus nodes that were unoptimized for my build. Now you can be selective on what that. So again, that's a bonus here. But going back to the build, generally how I look at it is, again, for a newer player coming in, you want to maximize your DPS. You want to maximize your cooling capacity on a laser vomit setup, right? Laser build. These are so bare. I just noticed these were different color. Feedback there, slightly. Yeah, I barely noticed those were different color. That would be a little bit different. Shade would help with that. That was so. I only barely noticed it. So just to distinguish that it wasn't just kinetic burst. So the speed tweak. Well, why did I pick up speed tweak? Because speed tweak used to be able to get your mech up to the baseline range speed. And so I know that's really nice. Kinetic burst, being able to start, and then hard break, being able to stop. And that's really helpful for poke builds coming out to the left and right. And you'd be able to get back to cover. Whereas the torso speed and torso yaw, you used to have to pick those up, but they were on the outskirts. So you didn't really need those. So for me, looking at this system, I think this is a superior system altogether compared to what we have. But I think what it's going to come down to, and it's something that I will try to tackle, is explain in some videos for newer players, hey, if you're doing a SRM, Arctic Wolf, what nodes would you go for and why? And again, we can even look at that because, again, it's going to be different, right? If I go to the brawler here, all right, let's go to skills. Don't mind this pop-up. We're going to respec here. So right now we have what? We're just going to boom. There you go. All right. So if I'm a SRM brawler, let's look at the setup. 5 SRM 6s with Artemis. Okay. So close range. Focus on SRMs. Ammo. Structure, armor. And heat capacity is 1.48. Okay, roger that. No ECM. No jump jets. Right? So let's go ahead and take a look at what I would do here. First off, cooldown, you want to apply that DPS, right? And keep in mind when I say DPS versus alpha. Alpha is just when you press all the triggers and all of it goes. You can't change the value of that on the skill tree, but you can change how quickly you can do that. So I'm going to go ahead and hit cooldown. I'm going to go ahead hit heat gen here. I think we're going to need that. Missile rack, which is extra missiles per ton. Yep. Spread. Yep. And high explosive. Yep. We're just going to go ahead and click those. Okay. I can already tell you I want all structure, all armor. We're going to actually go over to the sensor tree, and I'm going to pick up radar deprivation right now. I like 60%. I don't think 100% is necessary. Well, that's just me. If this, I think the build would be actually, we could probably do, yeah, I think we're going to ignore cool run and heat containment here because we're going to pick up a consumable for UAV. We'll have a cool shot. I don't think we need that, right? Because first off, we don't have a bunch of double heat sinks here. So we're only at 10. So it's really not going to benefit from increasing the heat capacity as well. Cool run, maybe, dissipation's always a nice thing, but there's this curve when it comes to how many heat sinks. So then that leaves you open. Well, being able to go faster, I'm going to go ahead and do speed tweak here. I'm going to do hard break, anchor turn on that. Being able to turn quicker, I think would be really important for a brawler. And then outside of that, I've got 2 nodes to deal with, and I don't think we need velocity here. I think you're better off maybe, let's see, going maybe even seismic. If we can grab seismic, where is seismic? That's actually a good question. Seismic sensor, it's down there, so we're not gonna be able to get to it. We need 4 nodes. Okay, so we're not gonna be doing seismic, and we'll just drop it, I think, into velocity then, just to help with there we go, boom. So that would be that for that. Now you notice here similarities between laser vomit, right? All cooldown, all heat gen. Where this changes is if you needed, let's just save here. If you needed, let's say, a dual Gauss setup, this is where, again, for a new player, it slightly changes. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at that on a Jaeger or Rifleman. Let's do a Jaeger mech here. Let's see, AC20s. Let's see, do we have a dual Gauss setup? I don't think we do. Okay. So this is where it changes. Like if you were to do a dual Gauss setup, or a rack setup, actually that's a good point. Racks. I do know if I do have racks on. Oh, of course. Marauder. Let's take a quick look at the Marauder and talk about skills here. So this is the Marauder with 3 rack 2s. Now, racks don't benefit from cooldown. So this is where, again, you're going to be changing this. I don't care about cooldown as much. Heat gen, roger that. I can tell you Skeletal Armor. Yep. That was weird that it didn't select all those. There's a bug. I'm finding bugs. That's interesting. It's not selecting that. So there's a bug in the UI. It's supposed to be selecting all those. For whatever reason, it's not. Yeah, that's weird. Okay, bug, first bug. All right, let's go down to radar depth, 60%. It's a pretty typical thing for me right now. Again, if that gets reduced, it's a known bug apparently in the chat. All right, and this mech does get hot, so I am gonna go to we're gonna bump the cool run and heat containment. We're gonna do that, and we're gonna go down to mag capacity, and we're gonna do enhanced rack UAC, and we have plenty of nodes left over. Now, is it worth doing the cool run or cooldown for medium lasers? In my opinion, I think you're better off with going some other stuff, whether it's range, velocity, mobility here, again, going fast. And like this is an option we've never really been able to do now, is go back to speed tweak and actually having the full speed of your mech, which is super nice. Anchor turn, hard break for me is really, really nice. I would even say probably torso speed would be really, really nice here. I feel like these nodes need to be buffed quite dramatically. This is your yaw as well. How, you know, and you can check these numbers. We don't have to worry about that. Don't have to worry about like gyro. I don't ever care about that. Screen shake. That's just not a thing. Again, value. I would say probably let's do seismic right there. And that's a solid, you know. Now I'm getting speed tweak that I never got before, and yeah, I think this is great. You know, what do we need? 12 nodes here. We'll just save this really quick just while we're doing this. Just F5 to come back here. And then the other cool thing that they've done, for those that don't know, is they've split this. Now it's a wall of text, but for an experienced player, it's actually so much better. They actually have it split up here. We can see the quirks. We can see quirks plus skills. And this is really, really important to point out, is that before, like right now I have this mech skilled out, and you just got this huge wall of stuff. You didn't know, well, what's going on here? It's got PPC heat gen, but you know, is that a quirk? You know, like, and it's just one of those things where now we actually see ammo separate, which is great. There's a lot of information here, but from the viewpoint, it's all now split. So I think the only negatives that I see with the new system is it's larger. It could be more intimidating for newer players coming in or players that are returning. But here's the positives that I look at. 1 click for 16 nodes, right? It's no longer 91 clicks. This compromise is super, super nice. You're able to fine tune your mech the way you want. I think some of these other things need to be buffed or removed entirely and replaced. I don't know how you do that. I don't know if you expand trees. I don't know what you do if you add stuff, but like is it ever even if you buff these things, is that ever enough to compensate? And what I mean by this is, and this is a critique, but yet also the reality is, when you have a tree, is torso yaw here or torso pitch can you buff those enough to where it's ever beneficial to a player taking that over anchor turn or hard break or heat gen? right? And I think the answer is no for heat gen. But also too is if a mech has that difficulty with pitch, the mech should just be buffed instead of having those. And so these are one of those like leftovers that they may have to roll into other ones. I don't know. But even if you buff those, I don't know if they're enticing. Like jump jets here, you have to, like, will this ever be enticing enough to where it's, that's where I'm at, is like, even this new setup, there's going to be go-tos. You noticed here, go-to on heat gen, right? Cooldown, maybe not so much on rack or Gauss rifles. You want cooldown, but you don't care about heat gen. So there's some stuff back and forth. But overall, I like this system. I think it's going to give them a lot more flexibility on adjusting, and moving things around. Now, this is obviously coming this patch in May. It'll be interesting seeing how they adjust things. Like I've had conversations about radar deprivation, even seismic. I think, again, a really cool thing that I brought up yesterday with seismic is there can be two different types. You can have the static seismic that you can only see when you're standing still and it has X amount of range. They could actually introduce another quirk, which is seismic on the move, and give that to mechs that are less fortunate when it comes to firepower, and that gives them value in being used. So I think that's really cool. But yeah, so I wanted to check out this. I hope that explains, for maybe you're newer to the game. I know this is a long-winded video, but I hope that explains why this is beneficial, why it can seem a little bit more daunting because it's bigger, but now you're actually able to pinpoint and fine tune without the garbage, if you will, of having to collect other nodes and forcing you to basically invest nodes. And then again, what that really does is it just forces you out of being able to make your mech better. Again, I talk about speed tweak. These are now a lot more accessible. Instead of having to go through this entire tree and all the way to the bottom, and you've invested 30 points, now you can get to that. And I think you're going to see mechs performing a little bit better, maybe specialize a little bit more. And so the only cons are that I can see is certain nodes have to be adjusted to make them worthwhile, because some of them I will never touch. Then it begs the question of, should some of them be dumped back into just the baseline of the mech? I don't know. But yeah, that's your preview of the upcoming skill tree. That is, I think, a good compromise to what we have, and obviously the issues of like doing a completely new one, that was off the table. So if you guys found this informative, click that like button. Let me know what you guys think of this system down below in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Until next time.